I want to start this video by validating a feeling a lot of us have. If you hate to jump on the treadmill, if you hate to jump on the elliptical, and the idea of going to the gym feels like a chore, unnatural, you're right, it is unnatural. It's not the way it was supposed to be. And in fact, I would submit to you that exercise, like we think about it, going to the gym, running that mile, is actually optional. When you look at biology, you look at the internal way that our body works, we're designed to conserve energy. We're not really designed to burn energy, especially when all is well. When we're fat and happy, we're feeling good, we're well fed. There's nothing in us that says, hey, you've been sitting on the couch all day, you need to go to the gym. Exercise, as we know it, is a modern invention, and I would submit to you, optional, as long as you're moving. Let me explain those two terms and talk about what those mean to us in our daily life. I'm Dr. Craig Anderson. I'm a chiropractor of almost 30 years, and I've seen tens of thousands of patients get through health issues and help them recover their health. Today, I'm going to show you how to move your body and not get into this rut to feel like you have to exercise every time, because ultimately that's a stressor. I'm not against exercise, not at all. It's a great way to move, but I want to reframe it to make this topic a little more of a healthy topic for you to think about. So let's start looking at this topic by looking at your joints. What's going on inside those joints and why do you need movement? Joints basically act as that connector between two bones. And when those two bones come together, they form a surface. That surface is covered in cartilage. That cartilage has fluid in between the surfaces, synovial fluid, which is very viscous. It is very slippery. That, combined with the cartilage, makes it almost the most slippery substance in the world. It is very, very low friction. So that means we can move. Things move, very, very minimal friction. What makes it move? Our muscles. Muscles make the joints move, obviously. And the thing about a muscle is that the muscle goes across the joint. So muscle attaches here and attaches on the other side. The muscle, when it contracts, moves the joint. That's what happens. Very basic. That is movement. That's happening everywhere in the body, throughout the spine, in the neck, your jaw. Everything is moving. Now, when you move, you actually stretch ligaments. Stretching the ligament is good. It flexes it, it moves it, it keeps it healthy. This tissue, the cartilage especially, needs movement to be healthy. If you're moving, if things are working good, life is good, the cartilage is happy. But if you stay still, if that cartilage does not move, that fluid in there does not get turned over, then it starts getting sticky. It doesn't move as well. It starts to go downhill, and doctors call that degeneration. It starts to degenerate. Maybe some bone spurs, maybe eventually arthritis. That's how arthritis happens, the lack of movement. So we have to move. Now, do we have to get on the treadmill and move? Not necessarily, because the treadmill is just one action. We have to have a variety of movements to keep our body healthy. Movement of the body actually acts like the heart for our musculoskeletal system. So we have the heart that pumps blood throughout the body. It pumps blood to the cells, as we all know. But movement is just as critical as blood flow to the joints, to the muscles, to our range of motion. I'll explain that a little bit more as we go. The real issue that happens when we don't move is in our brain. The central nervous system relies on this constant input to keep it going, to keep it firing. For example, right now, if you want to just try it, take your arms, push them straight out, roll them in, roll them out, roll them in, roll them out. Do that a few times. You may feel some stiffness around your shoulder. And you know what? You may also feel like, my brain is actually waking up a little bit. I feel like I have just a little more cognitive energy. That is the force of movement, the force of moving the body so that the brain can have information about where things are. So that gets to this idea of position sense. So as I sit here, I know where everything is. I know my feet are on the floor. I know my shoulders are about here. Hopefully they're level enough. I know my arms are down. I know my arms are out. I know my arms are down. There's a way that your brain can measure that. There are different maps throughout the brain, and these maps tell your nervous system where everything is in space so that we can reach for that cup and pick it up and move it. Even with my eyes closed, I can make sure the cup does not spill over because my body knows where this left arm is and knows how to control that whole hand to keep the cup level. So when you stop moving something, when you stop providing that input into the nervous system, those maps that control coordinates of where your body is and where things are in space start to get a little blurry. These blurry maps can have an impact. So when I go to reach for something, if I'm a little off, I have to correct that. My joints and my muscles have to adapt to a map that's a little blurry. So if I close my eyes, I try to touch my nose. If my map is good, I'll touch my nose. If my map is not so good, I'll miss my nose. You might want to try that now, just for fun. Most people are going to hit their nose, but you might not. Bring your fingers together with your eyes open. You can make them touch. Try it with your eyes closed, and let me see how this goes. Eyes closed. I missed a little bit. I'm a little off. You might be too. Let's try again just to see. Yeah, I'm a little off there too. Interesting. You didn't think about that. But continuing with our story, if those maps are not dialed in perfectly, and nobody's perfect, as you just saw, a little off, then your body has to adapt to that. And a lot of times those adaptations come in the form of muscle tension, tightness, fatigue, abnormal loading, pulling of muscles that can cause pain, can cause achiness, can cause you to basically work in a dysfunctional way. Over time, losing this good movement map changes the architecture of the brain and changes how you work cognitively. It has so many effects. Movement is mission critical to being a healthy individual, whatever that movement is. If you are unable to stand, if you have an issue where you can't use your legs, you have to use them as much as you can so that you can keep that movement. When you start losing those areas of movement, let's say you have damage in your arm and you just can't raise your arm anymore, you just can't do that, and you've tried everything to do that. You've gone to all the right doctors, you've done all the right things, but you've just ended up with an arm that you cannot raise up. What will happen inside your brain is that map that controls that arm is going to shrink up a little bit. It's not going to be needed. The nervous system, when you don't use something, it slowly becomes more efficient and reduces those circuits that don't fire. All right, so now you have a general idea of how the nervous system works and why movement is so important for the nervous system. So how do we get to fixing this? How do we improve this? How do we make the most of the movement that we're supposed to have in our body? Well, there's two general kinds of movement I want you to think about. This is going to be our frame. We have movement that you see. This is contraction of muscle. This is things, that's movement. But there's also movement that you don't see on the outside. Your intestinal movement. You don't see that. You might feel it, hear it every once in a while. There's also movement inside the joints, between the joints that you're not going to see. You'll have a joint surface that has muscles on the side that are moving, they're contracting to maintain stability of that joint and essentially not showing the movement on the outside of the body. So as I sitting here nice and balanced, muscles are still firing, muscles are still holding me up, they're still moving, they're still working. You just don't see it on the outside. So movement is multiple levels. We have the kind of movement you see. We do our exercises, that's what we're seeing, we're moving. But we also have that movement that keeps us from becoming unstable. There's two ways to achieve this movement. The first way is easy. You just move. The second way is you don't move. And that gets to one of my favorite exercises. So we're going to start here. So in one of my previous videos, I talked about how motivation alone cannot get you to your health goals, but you have to break it down into small components and build slowly. If movement was one of the issues that you were dealing with in that video, then a plank is what I recommended you do. So let's unpack that a little bit. The plank. What does the plank do? It provides stability. Typically, when someone gets into their late 30s, 40s, 50s, you're going to lose some muscle tone, and there's some really small muscles in the lower back, one in particular, the multifidus, that tends to atrophy with age. That multifidus prevents too much sliding of the spine front and back, and when it's weak, your spine will kind of shift a little more than it should, giving you pain, giving you too much load on ligaments and causing issues. Very common source of back pain I see in my practice. But there's also a couple things that happen with the nervous system while you're doing the plank. One is this somato-autonomic reflex. So as you load your spine as you're doing a plank, your brain will take this as a stressor. And so it will shift gears into, all right, we got to do some stuff. We have to send some blood where it needs to go. We need to compress and utilize our resources properly. We need to shift how the organs are working. A lot of secondary effects happen from doing planks, not just the muscular part, but there's some autonomic benefits that happen as well. Your blood pressure rises just a little bit. Heart rate goes up just a little bit. This is good in this form because it challenges the system. It moves it, it exercises it, and it helps it become more efficient and work properly in the body. But a really nice thing on a plank is that it compresses the abdomen, and there's a long nerve that goes through the body. It's called the vagus nerve. That vagus nerve gets stimulated. And when you're done doing that plank, when everything is done, your parasympathetic nervous system will ramp up a little bit. So let me tell you about those terms just a little bit. Sympathetic and parasympathetic. So the sympathetic nervous system is that fight or flight nervous system. The parasympathetic nervous system is the rest and digest nervous system. We got to have them both working. There's got to be periods of time where your heart rate goes up a little bit. Let's say you're walking up a hill. You want your heart rate to go up. Let's say you're watching Netflix. You don't want your heart rate to go up. So there's time and place for the heart rate to go up. And to control that, your sympathetic nervous system has to be working at its best. The parasympathetic, on the other hand, is that balancing force between fight or flight and rest and digest. It calms you down. If the parasympathetic nervous system doesn't get used too often, the sympathetic nervous system can get a little crazy. We can have some spikes in our heart rate. We can have some uncontrolled kind of even anxiety. So the balance between parasympathetic and sympathetic is key. So there's so much more we can unpack, but let me summarize. Movement is critical for you to be a healthy individual. You don't have to go to the gym every day. You don't have to have a routine. I know that's counterintuitive, but you have to do something. You have to actually move your entire body. You have to use your body. So what does this look like? Well, if you're in a building and you have the option to take the stairs, take the stairs. Skip the elevator. If you've been sitting for a while, consider your position of how you've been sitting and reverse that. So if your finger has been this way all day long, take a moment and stretch that finger, using that as an example. If your body's been flexed over all day long, take a moment and move in the other range, move in the other direction. We talked about how if you don't move it, you lose it. And this is it. That's the importance of movement. You don't want to lose it in the future. And you want to make sure your brain always knows where your body is. So I would encourage you to do movement. So what does that look like? Well, when you get up, you move your body in all the directions that it goes. Okay, there we go. We're good there. Reach up. Okay, all right, we are good. Twisting. Basically all the movements that your body will do those at least once a day. That's mandatory. That's the basics. You have to do it. You know, if you have a dog, you see this in a dog. When they get up, they stretch. They move their paws. They go into downward dog. They move their body because internally, deep down, that's the way they were created. That's the way we were created. We need to move. And the old adage, if you don't move something, you lose it, is brutally true when it comes to our bodies. So the Systemized Health implementation plan from this video is 30-second plank each day. When you go to bed or when you get up, when you brush your teeth, connect it to something and just do 30-second plank each day. If you have some pain or some trouble, you can do maybe an incline plank or maybe a plank with your knees bent. You can modify it, but just compress your abdomen with that plank each day. In a month, you're going to feel different. I guarantee it, or your money back. There's no money here, but you got it. It's going to make you feel better. Planks every day. And then second, move all your joints in all their directions every day, at least once. So what does that look like? Well, we twist our back. We can rotate. Anything that you can do, do it. As long as you do the things you can do today, you'll be able to do that thing tomorrow. If you aren't doing what you can do today, the chances of you not being able to do it tomorrow go up. You got to move. You got to exercise. You got to do what you can do. Thanks for making it to the end of this video. I hope you learned a few things and I hope you can implement a few of these things. Leave some messages in the comments. I'll monitor that. We'll get the conversation going. Happy to answer any questions you may have. Additionally, if you feel like there's a little more you need, happy to do a quick discovery call with you. It takes 20 minutes. Here's a QR code. Click on that to find a slot. It's free. I sell nothing. It's more of an extended conversation from this video. Hope to talk to you soon.